What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, Bigfoot Motorcycle Adventures. This video kicks off a series of videos talking about the biggest motorcycle camping trip that I've ever been on, really the inspiration behind creating this channel to begin with. Back in 2018, I turned 40 years old. I had a lot going on in my life, a lot of bad stuff, and I really needed to clear my head. So the best cure for that was to set out on the road for what would have been an 8,400 mile ride on my 2005 Harley Davidson Road King that's sitting here behind me with almost 200,000 miles on it now, for 23 days, all outside the entire time. Now, I stayed at a lot of different types of campgrounds this entire time. I stayed at on BLM. If you don't know what that is, that's federal public lands that are managed by the Bureau of Land Management. That's where the BLM comes from. I stayed at national and state forests, national and state parks, and I stayed on a few military bases at their recreation areas. I'm going to focus heavily on the gear, the motorcycle gear that I use, because I spent so much time trying to find the right gear that was lightweight, but also could fit onto the motorcycle fairly easily. To be out on the road for that long, you know, you have the tendency to want to just bring everything but the kitchen sink with you. So a lot of time went into finding the right gear. I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on the campgrounds and what's that like and what you can expect staying at these different types of campgrounds. Now, I'm active duty Air Force. At the time, I was stationed at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, so that's where my journey began. From there, I went up into Indiana briefly, and then went into Michigan, and particularly the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Oh wow, do that sometime in your life, put it on your bucket list. That place is amazing. From there, I basically went across the top of the country. I'm gonna try and insert a picture of the map. I got a little plastic map for the kids that were back home to kind of chart my adventure as I went along. So I think that was kind of a neat idea, especially if you're going to go on a trip for a little bit and you have kids at home or anybody that's trying to track you on your adventures. But I went through Minnesota and Wisconsin, along Lake Superior, and then North Dakota, where I got a flat tire, first one I've ever had, and then into Montana, where I soaked in hot springs, and over into, you know, Oregon and Idaho before that, then Oregon, and then finally hit the West Coast for the first time. Breathtaking. I got a lot of great content. I can't wait to show you a lot of the pictures and videos that I captured. And then I came down through California, through the Redwood National Forest, and then over into Las Vegas, and came back down, went through Death Valley, saw the Grand Canyon, went through West Texas. I think we could get that back to Mexico, by the way, but I'll talk more about that when we get to that part. But then I came up through, you know, Louisiana. I camped on the beach in South Louisiana, right on the Gulf Coast, and then came up through Mississippi, where the raccoon tried to steal all my stuff. There were just so many fun stories. Did the Natchez Trace through Alabama, into Tennessee, which is my favorite part of the country for me for motorcycle riding. And then on up into North Carolina, Virginia, Kentucky, and then finally back home to Ohio 23 days later. So like I said earlier, I really want to focus on the gear that I used here, because that's what I think you'll get the most value from if you're interested in doing this kind of thing. In this video, you'll kind of get a early look at the tent that I used. I used the Red Bears tent, which is a tent that you can actually pull your motorcycle into. It's a little bit pricey and it can be a bit bulky, but it was hands down worth every pound. So I'm going to talk about the gear a lot and also the campground. So please, if you have any questions, I love talking about this kind of stuff. Please just drop them in the comments below, and we'll get those questions answered for you. So without further ado, we'll get into the first clips from this trip back in 2018, and a lot of it is just going to be showing you the kind of things that I did to get the bike ready, and then setting out on the road to the first stop up in southern Michigan, the lower peninsula of Michigan. Okay, everybody, I'm going to take a minute to talk about the Red Bears tent. You can see it here in the picture. I will say that this tent was extremely pricey and heavy and large to put into my gear, but it was totally worth it when I pulled into a campsite at the end of a very long day of riding, and I was able, as you can see here, be able to have the motorcycle in completely enclosed. Now, we'll be talking about this tent a lot more as we go through the rest of the videos for this trip. Okay, right here I'm just going to show you my bike. This was several weeks before. It's a 2005 Harley Davidson Road King, FLHRI, and I just stripped the bike down and tried to clean it all up. There it is, all packed up and loaded to go the night before. And there was another shot of it being stripped down.
Hey y'all, it's time to stop talking about this ride and time to make it happen. In about 9 hours I'm rolling out for a 8,000 mile plus adventure, and I'm hoping to bring some of you guys along and share some pictures and videos from the road. Every day I'll try to upload some new content. I hope you'll throw a comment on there too. Just let me know you're out there. I'm pretty sure the bike's probably going to snap in half about 30 miles up the road, because as you can see it's loaded, but I checked the weights and tried to make sure everything was good to go. This has been something I've been waiting for a long time, so I'm just really excited and ready to kick it off in the morning. So I hope you'll enjoy the stuff that I share out there, and I hope it's mostly all good stories when I get back. So let's ride.
You guys be good. Love you. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you want to see the rest of this epic motorcycle camping trip that I took, be sure to subscribe.